Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Certainly glad you tuned in. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. This segment brought to you by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Laborers Local 663, Shelter Insurance Agents in Aurora, see Grant Baker, and in Lockwood, see Sean Holman. Bank of Billings, Laborers Local 663, Dope Propane, and Great Southern Bank. Going to Nixa, Missouri, home of the first time COC COC Wrestling Champions, the Nixa Lady Eagles wrestling team, and Coach Dustin Martin. Coach Martin, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We appreciate being on.
So you go out, you double up Ozark, 239 and a half to 118. Tell us a little bit about the event that day, and at what point did you kind of feel secure?
Yeah, I mean, so looking at it going into it, we were just excited to get the tournament started. We actually tried to do it last year, and there were some concerns with the timing of it compared to girls' districts and the 14-day quarantine. So ultimately, we decided not to start the tournament last year. So again, going into it this year, and going into it, I mean, we definitely felt like we had the upper hand going into the tournament. One, just number of entries. By being able to fill up 12 of the 14 weight classes, and then two, quality of wrestlers. We're the only team in the state in the conference as returning state champions, and I believe the only team that has returning state medalists. So we knew going into it we would probably be the favorite, but sometimes that's a tough spot. I talked to our girls that week going into the tournament about not overlooking. It is a big deal. It's a tournament that carries a banner in the gymnasium. And so, anytime you're talking about putting a banner up in the gym, I feel like that's something to be excited about.
Outstanding. Well, you've got the young ladies right there. We'll just go one at a time. You introduce them, and we'll visit with them and find out what their experience was like.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to have them. We're tucked away in the wrestling office, my office in the wrestling room during 8th-hour wrestling class. My boys are out there kind of getting ready for a duel tonight, and these girls are wrestling later. So hopefully the lighting and everything's all right. But I think I'll just have them stand up, and I'm going to have these girls say their name and what grade they're in, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
And then we can go back and we can visit on some highlights or anything like that. So we'll start right here. Stand up. Go ahead. Make sure that we can see you and say your name and your grade, please.
I'm Alyssa Fuentes, and I'm in 9th grade.
All right.
I'm Olivia Wilson, and I'm in 9th grade. Kendall Young, I'm in 9th grade.
Speak up.
I'm Abigail Weitzel, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Marissa Downs in 9th grade.
I'm Taylor Dortilia, and I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Jesse Nelson, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Ava Fry, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Ashland Eli, and I'm a senior.
I'm Brittany Cregan, and I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Kelsey Watts, I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Harmony Ross, and I'm in 12th grade.
That's everybody except for one shy girl.
Well, lots of freshmen
Yes,
in
sir.
the room, Coach. And tell us a little bit. Just kind of run through the highlights of the season and any particular outstanding outstanding events that any one of these ladies had.
Yeah, so I mean, just starting with, I know they just introduced themselves. Being a newer sport, I don't, sometimes certain sports share, certain athletes, like on the guys' side, it's pretty common that wrestling shares with football quite a bit, maybe a little bit of track. I wasn't real sure what the DNA of our team would look like as far as, we've got out of that freshman group that just introduced herself, we're pretty heavy on the cheerleader side, which was one that I was not expecting. I think we have at least 4 girls that are heavily involved in the cheerleading here at Nixa High School and club cheer. We've had a few softball girls. Ashland Eli used to play softball as well, and I believe basketball. So, we got several girls from all over. And then we have some girls that have joined wrestling that had never played a sport before as well. So, just starting with the chemistry of the team, it's interesting. And like all teams, we have out of these 13, 14 girls standing here, high school kids have cliques, right? And there's definitely 2 or 3 different types of cliques in this room. But the thing that I have found to really respect for our girls wrestling team is that through competition and through the season, they really rally behind each other, regardless if they're a cheerleader or another sport athlete or whatever. But they've been great teammates for each other. So, talking about the season. This is a fourth year for the girls, and from day one, we've really tried to create a team atmosphere as equal to the boys as we can. I know there's times that give me a hard time. They feel like the boys got a little something they didn't get, or vice versa. But we've definitely made an effort to, even with just our schedule. I mean, we take the girls to St. Louis, we take them to Kansas City, to Columbia. We travel all over the state trying to see the best competition in the state of Missouri. Which is also is what we do with our boys team as well. So early in December, we hosted a tournament that was honestly probably one of the, maybe not the biggest by any means, but it was probably top 5 or 6 tournaments in the state of Missouri. We had, we had 28 teams maybe a year. And we ran through it pretty quick. We did it on a Monday night, started at 4 p.m. We're done about 9 p.m. But just that alone, was we had Harrisonville here in Lebanon. Southwest Missouri is actually a hotbed for women's wrestling. I think current team rankings is Lebanon 1, Nixa 2, I think Cassville's 3. So that's pretty heavy in this area. But anyways, in December, we went up to the Kansas City Stampede, which is a very predominant men's tournament. And 3 years ago, they added in a girls division. And we had 2 girls that are in the room, or 3 girls that are in the room that won that tournament. And Ashland Eli, who's one of our seniors, Brittany Crahan, who's a sophomore, and then Harmony Rust, who's a senior. They were all 3 champions. And I believe the year before, Ashland, they canceled it because of COVID last year. The year before, Ashland was our first finalist at the Stampede. So it was neat to get 3 champions at a pretty high-level wrestling tournament. And shortly after that, at the end of December, we took our girls team up to the Wonder Woman. And I don't have stats in front of me, but it's a top 3 or 4 biggest tournament in the entire country. It's massive. It's got great competition at it. I want to say there was 99 teams present at the Wonder Woman. We ended up placing 3rd. We were right behind it. Went Lebanon, Cassville, and Nixa. And I believe those same 3 girls. What's that? Same 3 girls won, right? Yeah. Same 3 girls won the Wonder Woman? Yeah. Harmony won.
I got second.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Harmony got second. I forget. It's been a minute since I've been there. So Ashland and Brittany both won it, and Harmony made the finals, and actually getting beat by the number 1 girl out of St. Louis. So, but it was again, 2 of the tougher tournaments in the state, and our team was up there, representing really well and doing great things.
Well, to the young ladies in the room, step forward if this is your first sport that you've attempted. Who's
Nobody? Harmony, where you at? You gotta raise your hand. Oh, okay. What about in high school? First high school sport? I know that.
First high school sport?
First high school sport. That's
okay.
A lot of
them. And what made you? And I don't care who answers this. And but what made you want to be involved?
Here, I'm gonna pick somebody to get it started. I'll pick kind of our senior leader who just stepped backwards, Ashland Eli. She's a 2-time. Ashland's a 2-time returning champion. We have senior night tonight. I was just writing up her bio. And Ashland's probably one of the most decorated women wrestlers in the state of Missouri right now. She's a 3-time medalist, 2-time champion. And she was a girl that she wrestled in youth, but took several years off of wrestling and got into volleyball and basketball. And, it just aligned perfectly her freshman years when they sanctioned girls wrestling. And so anyways, Ashland, you can explain to them what made you decide to try girls wrestling.
I would say my brothers, and then my dad used to be a coach, so then that got me into it.
Explain why your brothers, they don't know. Explain why your brothers wrestled.
Well, my brothers wrestled here at the high school, and then they convinced me to start my freshman year, and then ever since I've been wrestling.
So what's your experience been like? Obviously, you've had just tremendous success. What makes you come back every day? You enjoy it?
Sometimes.
I think I'll help her out a little bit. Ashland's she's a true competitor at heart, and I give her a hard time. She doesn't do as much in the off season as I'd like her to. But when we're in season, she is one of the most competitive people we have in a room, boys or girls. She often trains with guys on our team. And I think at the end of the day, like, she doesn't like to lose. She's picked a tough sport. And I think there's fun moments in there, and there's some pretty tough moments in there as well. But I know when she's on the mat, like, she's a very determined lady.
Ash, as you look back on your freshman years through now, what are some of the memories that are going to stand out, things that you're not going to forget?
The matches that I've lost.
Yeah. Well, it's probably easier to remember those. There's just not many of them.
I think she's 127-3 on her career record, which is outstanding.
Oh, my goodness. Well, if you could go back and re-wrestle those 3 losses, would you?
Yes.
Do you remember who they were?
Well, I remember 2 of them.
One girl from out of state was from Texas, actually. It was in the semifinals, or maybe it was the semis or finals of the Kansas City Stampede or sophomore year.
Well, outstanding. Now, you're a senior. What plans, if any, do you have for next year?
I plan on going to college for wrestling and trying that out, and then, yeah.
Well, so you must like it.
Yeah, I guess so.
What area of study? What are you thinking about studying?
Nursing.
Nursing. All right, very good. Well, Ashley, hey, congratulations and best of luck here as you go forward into district and state competition.
Thank you.
I'll bring you up. I'll pick on a few of my girls here. The next girl I'll bring you up is another senior, and you won't get a lot out of her, but I'll try to help her out a little bit. She's a little shy, but Harmony, come on. So this is Harmony Rush. She's also a senior. She's been with us all 4 years. She's a returning state qualifier and a returning state medalist. She did not make it last year to the state tournament. Due to COVID, they only took the top 3 out of each weight class instead of the top 4. And the top 3 all made the semis of the state tournament. And the first and second place in our district went on to win a national title at different weight classes this summer. So the level of competition within our own district was literally unbelievable. I don't even know that Harmony really understood that from a perspective standpoint, like how close she was to not only being a state qualifier, but probably being a top 3 state placer last year. So the Harmony, I'll let her speak, but she's a girl that I think the decision to come into wrestling was maybe borderline random. She had an older brother that wrestled for us. I think he kind of pressured her in to try it. And I will say in front of the camera that when she walked in the room, like, I didn't think she was going to make it. You kind of survey and you're like, man, this is going to be maybe a rude awakening for her. And to our delight and surprise, like, she just started out awesome. She really picked up on it and developed that work ethic and started going hard and has done a great job. She's like all athletes that have had some ups and downs along the way the last 4 years, but she's one of I think she has a shot at going to win the state title this year. When she steps out on the mat, she's incredibly aggressive and very determined. So I'll let you ask her a few questions, but give her a little introduction.
Harmony, how are you?
I'm good.
So what got you involved? Was it a brother pressuring you into it? And are you happy now that you got involved?
Yeah, my older brother pretty much forced me to come in here. Like, I didn't have a choice. But yeah, I'm happy I did it. I really enjoy the sport.
What are some memories as you look back that you're not going to forget?
When I qualified for state my first year, that was pretty exciting. And then winning the Kansas City tournament, which I didn't think I was going to win.
Did you set some personal goals coming into this season as far as, and obviously you had the COVID year, but what were some goals of yours coming into 2021-22 season?
To not quit.
Well, would your brother have let you quit?
No, he wouldn't have. To make it to state this year too.
Yeah, very good. Well, and do you have plans for next year?
Not really. I'm going to go to OTC, but I don't think I'm going to wrestle in college.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, congratulations on the COC championship.
Thank you.
We've got time.
Go ahead.
We've got time for a couple more, Coach. If anyone else would like to.
Yeah, well, I've got any immediate volunteers, or I'll pick on some of you if you don't. Well, here's what we'll do. We've got one more state champion that's sitting in the room, and I'll bring her up, and then I'll grab a freshman for you after that real quick. So we'll bring Brittany Crahan up. Brittany, I'll go a quick introduction. She's not near as shy, so I think she's willing to speak. So Brittany has been wrestling forever. She's a little different than some of these others. She's been wrestling in youth clubs since she was a little kid. Her dad is one of our youth coaches here at the high school in the youth program. Her older brother wrestled as well. One very consistent thing that you'll see in women's wrestling is a family sport, in the sense that most people that do wrestle, I think it's a pretty deep part of their DNA and their family makeup. And so a lot of these girls have grown up with their brothers or their dads being very involved in wrestling. And, I think a lot of them have gotten into it because of that. But anyways, Brittany, she had a lot of success in the youth level, and she was in that weird time period where she wrestled boys her whole youth career. And then as she came into high school, she switched over to only wrestling girls. So some would say, it could be an advantage. But her freshman year, she was a state champion for us. And the bar set incredibly high for the next 3 years, including this year. So,
Brittany, how are you today?
Good.
All right, so you're kind of veteran of the squad here. Is there a leadership role there that comes just because of your background, your familiarity, your history? What does that look like?
I feel like since I'm younger, there's not much of a leadership role, whereas the seniors kind of are the leaders.
What's kind of a daily routine for you? Let's say you're wrestling tomorrow night. What are you doing today to kind of get mentally and physically prepared for that match?
I don't really do much because I just be normal.
that's about you're watching your weight, monitoring it, going through practice. I ask for this kind of.
I guess eat healthier, eat less, practice harder, try to sweat, and then.
When you put both feet on the mat, what are you thinking about? What's going through your mind once you get on the mat and you're looking at your opponent in the eye?
That I'm gonna win and not lose. I don't know. I'm not really thinking about that stuff in my matches. And when I get off the mat, I don't really remember.
So Brittany does cut a little bit of weight. That's part of wrestling, and it's sometimes the ugly part of wrestling people don't like to talk about. But in the youth level, we don't do that. But at the high school level, most of these girls, actually a lot of them are underweight, but there's a handful that definitely have to monitor it. Brittany does have to monitor and cut just a little bit of weight by choice. So just kind of leading off of your question, the night before, that's usually a big part of her 24 hours before, watching her weight, monitoring it. I know often she's going into her dad's gym across town and getting an extra workout in the evening to try to make sure she's in the right spot for her weight the following day.
Brittany, did you have any personal goals coming into this season?
I wanted to win state, and I was more looking into summer. There's Fargo and stuff, and I really want to place higher at Fargo than I did last year.
All right. What are your plans for next year?
Win state again, if I win it this year, and same thing.
So yeah, Brittany's a sophomore, so she's got a few years left in high school, and we're kind of watching the college world develop. Women's wrestling's brand new, and I told Brittany I think she's going to be at a pretty nice spot in college wrestling, where right now it's mostly all NAIAs and a few Division IIs in women's wrestling, and just in the last several months, Division I programs are starting to sanction. So we just saw the University of Iowa come out and sanction a girls wrestling team, and so I think in another couple of years, the forecast of women's wrestling in college is going to look a lot different for Brittany.
All right. Well, Brittany, hey, thanks for being part of the show today, and congratulations and best of luck as you go forward.
Thank you.
You want I brought you up some pretty veteran girls. You want me to bring you up a girl that brand new to wrestling, just green as can be?
You bet.
Let's bring Kelsey Watts up here. Kelsey, come here. All right. Are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Kelsey. She's what are you? You're a sophomore.
Yeah.
I was thinking. So she's a sophomore. Actually joined our season a few weeks after it started. She's, I believe, friends with Brynja, and Brynja talked her into wrestling. So she's an incredible athlete and a cheerleader. But she's doing a great job. But a month or two ago, she didn't know anything about wrestling. So she might be a good person to ask questions to.
Okay. First off, why did you decide to get involved?
Well, I don't really know. There was a lot of people who were trying to talk me into it, and so I was finally like, okay, I'll just do it.
Well, and being a cheerleader, that's obviously you've got coordination and stamina and things like that. So those have all benefited you, haven't they?
Yeah.
How has wrestling, benefited being a cheerleader?
It's
Strength.
yeah, it's definitely made me stronger and my stamina better.
Yeah. So you come in 2 weeks after the season starts. What were your expectations on that first day, and what was that first day like?
Oh, it was very confusing. It was very new to me.
But you're still here, so you're happy you've done it.
Yeah.
Now you're just sophomore.
Yeah.
Okay. So what sports do you cheer for?
Basketball and football.
Okay, so you've got double duty sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, what's a wrestling practice compared to a cheerleading practice?
Wrestling practices are definitely a lot harder and like fast paced than cheer practices.
Now the question is, because you started a little bit late, and you're enjoying it, you're having some success. Have you been able to recruit any of the other cheerleaders or any other of your friends?
No, not really. Most of them were like completely against it. I think it's gross.
Oh, it's one of the oldest sports. But hey, thank you so much for being part of the show. Congratulations. Well, Coach, what have you got coming up here in the near future as you prepare for districts and a state run?
Yeah, so I don't know if those things live or if it gets aired later, but we're sitting here on Tuesday, about a day in front of a big winter storm. But we're trying to get up to Kansas City on Friday morning for our girls district wrestling tournament. It's a 2-day tournament on Friday and Saturday, and just about every one of these girls in the room will be going to that tournament. And again, the top 4 qualify. Nixa was in a hard spot. I'm by no means condemning them, but we are kept to 1 classification for this year, and the numbers probably support a second classification, so a class 1, class 2 scenario. But there's a lot, and I used to be on the advisory committee, and I get there's a ton of stuff that goes into trying to figure that out. So next year we will go to 2 classes in the state of Missouri for girls wrestling. We will be class 2 as a larger school. But because we're still 1, our district tournament is just incredibly tough this year. There's 56 teams in the tournament. Now, not every team will have an entry to all 14 weight classes, but only the top 4 at each weight make it to the state tournament. Like I said last year, we left last year. Harmony Russ got left home by the number 1, 2 girl in the country, followed by a very quality third. So, even some of our elite wrestlers are going to have to go have a great wrestling tournament this coming weekend. In order to put themselves in a position to win a state championship. And, again, because we're 1 class in the state of Missouri, if you can get 2 or 3 state finalists or state champions, that carries a significant amount of points because the points are spread so thin. We've got, I used Matt Ashland and Brynja. We've also got Callie Dupree, who's a freshman at 159, and she's ranked number 2 in the state of Missouri. And then we, of course, have Harmony. So, just those 4 alone, if they can go maybe make the finals, the top 3, I think that puts us in a great spot in the state. And we're hoping we can get a couple of these young girls behind us to punch their way through and score some points to help out as well.
You bet. Well, ladies, again, on behalf of Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks, congratulations on your first COC title, and best of luck as you go forward. And hopefully, we'll get to catch up with you after the season, and everybody's got the biggest or the gold medal, I should say. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. You're listening to and watching the Missouri Sports Network on MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Keep it right here.